Hello and welcome to Middle East Matters. I'm Nadia Massi. Here's what's coming up for you in today's show. The net tightens on the Islamic State group in Syria. 3,000 people stream out of the militants' final village on the Iraqi border. Kurdish forces now saying their defeat is close. The brain drain in Iraq. Facing violence in hospitals, doctors are increasingly deciding to work abroad. We follow the story of two medics who've chosen to stay in Basra. And saving the catacombs of Egypt. We take a tour around one of the ancient world's largest burial ground, the 2,000-year-old site threatened for decades by rising water levels. First then, the Islamic State group is facing defeat in its last strip of territory on the Syrian-Iraqi border. Amid intense airstrikes from the international coalition, 3,000 people fled the village of Baghouz on Monday, the militants' final outpost in Syria. At least 150 fighters are reported to have surrendered to local Kurdish forces there, but hundreds of the most battle-hardened militants are thought to remain inside the village, along with civilians being used as human shields. James Vecina and our colleagues at France 2 have this report from the front lines.
It's the final assault. Planes from the international coalition fire at the remaining jihadists, hidden inside the small village of Baghouz.
Keep us up to date with your position, please.
The pilots are helped by the Kurdish forces on the ground, who relay the enemy's location.
The last strike hit a sniper that was firing at us. We passed his position on to the coalition.
In Baghouz, several hundred jihadists cling onto their last enclave in eastern Syria. Hiding in tunnels, they've driven car bombs at the Kurdish forces.
See the trees over there? Their base is right beside them. Yesterday we saw some of them crawl out of a hole and fired. We managed to kill a few, but the others ran off.
These tunnels make it very tricky for us. They might be right beneath us and could leap out from behind us at any moment.
The international coalition has surrounded the village and is determined to eliminate the last jihadists, no matter how long it'll take.
Next, Israel's Prime Minister has formally announced his re-election campaign despite his possible indictment on corruption charges. Benjamin Netanyahu made no mention of those allegations when he announced his run for a fifth term. Now, the Prime Minister faces stiff competition in the election. Current polling shows a centrist alliance ahead of Netanyahu's right-wing bloc. Solange Mougin has the story.
Basking in the glow of his supporters with their applause and waving banners, while preparing for a tough political fight, Benjamin Netanyahu launched his campaign for re-election. Seeking a fifth term as prime minister, he strove to differentiate his Likud party from the newly formed centrist party created by his former chief of staff Benny Gantz and longtime rival Yair Lapid.
It's either a strong right-wing Likud government with my leadership, or a weak left-wing government with Lapid and Gantz supported by Arab parties. Lapid and Gantz are in favor of dismantlement of settlements. We are against the dismantlement of settlements.
Since its launch February 21st, the Blue and White Party has pulled ahead in the polls. In regard to the settlements, Gantz said last month that Israel needs to learn from previous disengagements in Gaza and to apply such moves elsewhere to, quote, find a way of not controlling other people. The former general has been running on a message of national unity, promising a cautious, albeit vague approach to peacemaking with the Palestinians, a stance that's garnered support among centrists but created pushback from the right. As for Netanyahu, he isn't just battling a new political playing field. He's also facing mounting legal woes. Last Thursday, Israel's Attorney General announced plans to roll out indictments against Netanyahu in 3 criminal cases for fraud, breach of trust, and bribery. The charges are pending a hearing from Netanyahu's defense team. But the latest corruption accusations and the Blue and White Party's surge mean that Netanyahu's hold on power is far from guaranteed.
Let's go to Iraq for you now, where medicine can be a matter of life and death, not just for the patients, but for doctors too. Medics say they regularly risk being harassed, threatened, or even kidnapped on the job, meaning many are now considering leaving Iraq to work abroad. This report from the southern city of Basra.
Providing hospital care to patients in Iraq can prove dangerous. Health workers can face threats by vengeful relatives of patients. One Iraqi doctor, Shaima al-Kamali, knows all too well. She says her problems began when she barred a patient's father from staying in hospital after visiting hours. The patient's relatives stormed her clinic. She had to flee.
The relatives came in cars and pickup trucks and carried weapons, shouting, "Where's this doctor? Where's her family? What's her address?" They said they belonged to some powerful group and that they would avenge their son.
Health workers across Iraq say they regularly risk being physically assaulted, verbally threatened, and even kidnapped while on the job. They blame a tradition of gun ownership in a country ravaged by decades of violence, and also a retaliatory form of justice used by tribes.
Most of the attacks are tribal. Some doctors are threatened. There was a tribal attack against one of our colleagues. Threats were made to close clinics. Death threats were made against one of our specialist physicians in Basra because a patient died.
Many doctors have opted to leave Iraq to work at safer hospitals abroad, something Dr. Kamali says that she is considering herself.
I graduated from the Faculty of Medicine at Baghdad University in 2009. There were 348 students in my year. After looking back at our graduation picture the other day, I did my calculations, and it turned out that 285 of them had left the country.
Around 20,000 doctors have fled Iraq in the last 15 years, according to a joint study by the International Committee for the Red Cross, Iraq's health ministry, and other medical organizations. The study found 7 out of 10 doctors are considering emigrating for fear of reprisals, kidnapping, or killing. Some doctors say they want a 2013 law activated, allowing them to carry weapons in the workplace.
Staying with Iraq, it's time now for the 9th episode from our series Flavors of Iraq, an animation written by the Franco-Iraqi journalist Ferhat Alani. This week, Alani takes us to the city of Ramadi, where warmth and honour are key to people's identities.
It was the summer of 1994, and my cousin Oday was showing me around the city of Ramadi. Everywhere we went, people were very welcoming, too welcoming even. It's the custom there. A custom called being Dulaimi, by the name of the province's biggest tribe. Anyone can be Dulaimi. You simply need to be generous in both your words and your actions. It's a question of honor. In taxis, for example, the driver always offered us a cigarette. Oday told me that if someone were to compliment me on my watch, I'd have to say, "It's yours." Of course, the gift would always be declined. To someone you liked, you would say, "Akhalik ala rasi." In English, "I hold you over my head." It's like renouncing your own standing to elevate someone else. Generosity even turned into a competitive sport. Families would outdo each other by slaughtering the most sheep for their guests. As we entered one of the city's restaurants, we came across a brawl. The reason? A disagreement over who got to pay the bill. Nothing was surprising in these parts. In fact, sometimes matters got even more out of hand. Oday explained that it's not unusual for a tribe chief to pull out a weapon to win the argument. In Ramadi, honor is no joke.
Next, saving Egypt's catacombs. Archaeologists in Alexandria have completed a complex project designed to prevent rising water levels destroying one of ancient Egypt's largest burial sites. Naomi Lloyd takes a look around the year-long rescue operation at Qom al-Shukafa.
Mixing ancient Egyptian and Greco-Roman architectural styles, the catacombs of Kom el-Shakafa in Alexandria are unique. Rediscovered in 1900, the archaeological site has been plagued by rising water levels from the River Nile. From 2017, thanks to a €5 million grant from USAID, a massive drainage project was installed.
We established 6 wells, each 42 meters in depth, to gather all the underground water, to transfer it to the El Mahmoudiyeh Canal, and then to the sea. These are the steps to get rid of this water.
The catacombs were first carved into the rocks in the 2nd century, during the height of the Roman Empire's control of Egypt. With its labyrinth of open spaces and tombs, it's the largest catacomb in Egypt, but the lower 3rd level had been completely submerged.
For the first time, visitors, whether they are Americans, Dutch, Egyptians, or British, can now visit and reach the 3rd level of the tomb, which had been completely underwater since hundreds of years ago.
Egyptian authorities hope this will be a much-needed boost to tourism, an area badly hit by years of political uncertainty.
And finally, how's this for braving the weather? Karate in the snow. These are the children of Kikoshin Karate Club from the Iraqi village of Penjwin. Every week, up to 70 boys and girls, some of them as young as 6, train on a snow-capped mountain overlooking their village. 17-year-old Zono Atta says she wants to show the world that they are like children everywhere who just want to compete and to play. Well, we'll leave you then with some of those images from Iraq. Thanks for watching, and as always, do stay tuned to France 24.